3 times. So there's that. All right. Yeah, a little quick sound check.
Get ready.
Okay, there we go. All right, boys and girls, let's knock this out.
Get ready to laugh out loud with Wise and Nerdy, the show hosted by 2 hilarious dads who are bringing their unique blend of wit, wisdom, and nerdiness to the airwaves. From sharing hilarious anecdotes about their own experiences to giving advice on navigating the ups and downs of life, these 2 dads have got you covered. But that's not all. They're also obsessed with all things nerdy, from comic books and sci-fi movies to video and board games. So whether you're a fellow dad, a pop culture fanatic, or just in need of a good laugh, tune in to Wise and Nerdy and join in the fun.
You're not the boss of me, Papa Kurt. I'm the Rock Got a Podcast, Charles McFall. There is Joseph_Ard.
Hello.
And we've got the Muppet Mayhem himself, VO by Kurt.
Hello.
Hey, this is Wise and Nerdy, where fatherhood meets fandom. Look, go check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/wise_nerdy. Nerdy? I can't even say it. Nerdy. And look, we're a podcast. So if you're listening to this in your ear holes, we're on Spotify and everywhere else you get your podcasts. And if you are on your ear holes, we're a video show as well. So we got our TikTok going on. We've got YouTube going on. And so that's Linktree/wise_nerdy. Come check it out. Boys, it's been an interesting week. Let's make some people happy. First off, speaking of making people happy, I want to talk about making myself happy. Tonight's show is brought to you by the letter by the letter B and the number 4. And the number 4 is, I don't know yet, I have to look it up, but that's a scotch or bourbon or whatever I'm drinking tonight. So I gotta see what the number 4 is. But while we get daddy some night juice, what's your favorite childhood stories, boys?
Childhood book.
Same diff.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking about it. I can only come up with one.
Oh, okay.
And that would be the monster at the end of this book.
Okay.
Oh, I have not heard of that one.
It's a Sesame Street book, and it is Grover. And it's not written by clearly, but it's told from the perspective of Grover, and he's on the page, and he goes, "There's a monster at the end of this book. Don't turn the page."
Till you said that, I remember that book, so I love it so much.
And you turn the page, and then he flips out. He goes, "What are you doing? I told you not to turn the page."
Yeah.
And then it's like 20 pages long, but you keep doing it and keep doing it. And okay, spoilers, kids. You get to the end of the book, and you find out that Grover is in fact the monster at the end of the book because he was trying to prevent you from getting there. Now, the evil literary corporate empire came out with a version about 20 years later that included Elmo in that story.
Grover's better than Elmo.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Way better. Look,
the Sesame Street's about friendship and love. There's nothing wrong with wanting to sell another million copies by throwing a little red booger on there. Come on.
Elmo is about a cash grab.
Yeah, but it keeps the Muppets alive. It keeps us getting Sesame Street. I'll take it. Abby's a cash grab.
Oh,
she's pretty cool character.
Sesame Street. You count that thing that's on HBO now.
Yeah,
the 12 episodes we get a year.
Yeah, it's not the same. When's the last time you watched a new episode of The Muppet Show?
When last time it was out?
1980. Exactly.
No. They came out with one. No.
I said The Muppet Show, not Muppets Tonight, which was a cash grab and bad.
Yeah, it wasn't good. The one before that was pretty good though.
It was kind of a remake of The Muppet Show.
Yeah.
All right, but that was a good one, Kurt.
Thank you.
I mean, it's honestly rare in our references that I know exactly what you're talking about, but I could see the pages. And it was such. I loved it as a kid, but the reason I know it so well is I bought it again as an adult.
Yeah,
just a Grover one. Don't cancel me. And I read it to my kids when they were little. Joe, what about you?
The one that I think of, because I don't actually ever remember my parents reading me a book, to be completely honest, but I remember my older brother reading me a book. and it was The Book of Three. It's by Lloyd Alexander. So some of you may have heard of one of the books in the series, which is not the first book. The second book in the series is The Black Cauldron.
The Book of Two.
And so he read the book to me, and I enjoyed it quite a lot. There was a pig that could tell the future. It was great.
But wait, you're blowing me away. So The Book of Three is the sequel to The Black Cauldron, which was a sequel to another book.
No, it's the prequel. The Book of Three is the first one, and then The Black Cauldron is the second one.
Of course it is. Why would it be the Book of One or whatever? Okay,
there's 5 books total.
Okay.
And my brother read the first book to me. I liked it quite a bit. I've seen the movie. I should probably go back and read the rest of it, because I don't know how the story goes. But I did it. I liked it a lot, and it meant a lot that my brother read that to me when I was younger.
Yep.
You don't need to worry about the other books. It's just an excuse to use Elvish.
Okay. I'm not even sure there's any.
Yo, how do you?
Those books.
Kurt.
I know
the meme that Tolkien only wrote the Lord of the Rings books because he made up Elvish.
And guess Kurt. I sent him a hilarious TikTok video about the Lord of the Rings.
And I told you that we chuckled.
2 nights ago. And in that video, he talks about he's laughing. He's a fan like Joe. And he's like, oh yeah, well, of course, he only wrote the books of Elvish. 2 nights ago, made that joke to Joe, and he's sitting here tonight going, what? What? Dude, my humor is wasted on the Mormons. I cannot.
I wouldn't generalize like that. I mean, go on. But
all the Mormons I know, which are 2 of them, they don't laugh at my jokes. So,
oh yeah,
I mean that's a big enough pool of.
I don't know which 2 you're considering to, but
Donnie
I bet you know
Marie.
Maybe Hammond's a Reformed Mormon, so it's you and your wife. That's it.
Bob Magoo is also formerly. So
see, former doesn't count.
Exactly.
Current counts. Anyway,
so the Black Cauldron, right?
Yeah.
How did it hold up against the book?
So I didn't read the Black Cauldron book. I read the Book of Three, and
I've seen the Book of Three either, actually.
Did you see the Black Cauldron?
Yes, I have seen.
How did it work as a follow-up to the book that you did read or had read?
It worked pretty well. It incorporated several scenes from that first book because it had to make sense. But it worked well, and I really like what was his name? Gurgi. Gurgi's fun. He likes munchies and crunchies.
Yep. I have to go back and rewatch those. Well, there's a whole bunch of those Disney movies I need to go back and rewatch.
I wonder if it's on Disney Plus.
I don't know.
Charles,
what that you were thinking of?
So I thought of one that I loved as a kid that I read, but then you're talking about getting read to you. It's like, oh, one I liked. It's not exactly the same, but Kurt, I think you're gonna love this. You may even have had it yourself.
See Spot Run.
I hated that book. It was so hard to understand. So no, it was what's the small vinyl size? Is that 45?
Yes,
the smaller one. Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
So I had this collection of books with 45s and a little kid record player, and it's a Star Wars, C-3PO, and they'd play. You'd put the record on and you'd read along with them. And when CPU or R2D2 whistled, you turned the page, and it was so much fun because they did some sound effects and other things, and I really enjoyed that. But honestly, you can ask the question, how the movie hold up? It didn't, but the book was wonderful. A Wrinkle in Time was one of my favorite series of books. Yeah, Kurt.
So look, A Wrinkle in Time has had a couple of adaptations for video.
Yeah, none of them quite captured my imagination,
They just don't work.
The newest one with Oprah was close, but it just didn't work. Yeah.
No, I love the book. Like, I think I didn't read all of the books, but I think I read the first 2. And I just loved it. I thought it was great. And I read them as adults or as an adult. And when I saw the video adaptations, all I could be was disappointed. Yeah.
Honestly, it should be an animation of some kind. I mean, that's the only way to really, and even then it may or may not work. But I'm not saying people can't do magic. You know, I never really, I think I read one of the Harry Potter books, but I love the world that they built on video. Like the story is okay, but the world was amazing. Dude, I was a young adult being an EMT and trying to be married at the time. I didn't have time to look in those.
No. So you need to get the audiobooks to Harry Potter and just
I did the second one. That was not a British FU. That was I got the second one. Yeah, sorry, everybody watching. I was trying to indicate I listened to book 2 on CD.
You heard him say it, book 2.
But the world building, and that's what the Wrinkle in Time, just that sci-fi essence of that whole. I mean, the Wrinkle in Time. You know, it's in the happy. You know how I always find that because sometimes I could not remember the title tonight. I was like, "What's the title?" I could see the movie. I could see the framework of the poster, even, and I could, but. The chapter that always stuck with me was the happy medium. Because I thought it was such an ironic phrase. Even as a young kid, it just went, the happy medium, that's dumb. Ha ha ha. And she's actually sad in it. And that's what's even funnier. But I look up a happy medium chapter and then go, oh, Wrinkle in Time. There it is. But yeah, it was just the imagination that book lends itself to, just to let you put together the formulary of the pictures. I don't know if you can capture that, but that was one of my favorites.
Yeah, I got you. That should be a topic for a night. Book versus movie.
We already said we're not going to talk religion or politics. I think you're really total line there, Kurt.
well, no, because there's the ones that I would consider, even though there's some deviation. Harry Potter is a great example of a really well done adaptation of a book series.
Yeah, my understanding was they cut out stuff that was just too much, but it still was true to the books.
But I would also say the same thing for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I think and mainly because of the previous media that we've had, it's at the time not as good as we could have done.
The original Lord of the Rings with the animated
Ralph Bakshi stuff.
Yeah, I was a little kid, and that stuck with me. I can't tell you it's good or bad. I just remember going, "What is this? Oh my god!" But I was like, "Run away, run away!" I don't know. Yeah, it's funny. All right,
moving on.
Yeah, we don't like Ralph Macchio here.
Council of Dads.
We're already jumping there. I didn't come back with I actually found out what I'm drinking tonight for anybody who's curious, and it is Knob Creek. I'm waiting for Kirk to say something. Knob Creek 7-year rye 100. So I'm just leaving it. Just leave it. Upon us. And this is right up Kurt's alley. We're going to debate. We might not. We might all fall in the same line. But barbecue sauce, sweet or vinegar based?
Spicy.
Okay, spicy's not the base.
I know it's not
the base.
Yeah. Well, and you can have spicy vinegar or spicy sweet sauce.
I know. So, I just wanted to.
Okay.
We don't Joe, you look like the kind of guy who eats bananas for the shape and not the taste.
What the heck?
Kurt?
You go eat a banana.
He's really into slices. Do you really want me to go first on this?
He went first, and he's a moron. So let's adults talk.
Okay, spicy. So,
spicy.
Yeah.
Spicy,
so, I prefer the brown sugar based sauces versus the vinegar based sauces. It's just the way that I go. But the caveat is,
I love that. Yep.
The caveat is, good barbecue doesn't need sauce.
Of course.
Oh. It's because it's a dry rub.
Yeah.
No. That's the thing is, the meat should be moist enough to eat without sauce, and the rub, whichever rub that you're using, should be tasty enough to be good without the sauce.
Honestly, if you do it right, the rub basically makes its own sauce off the meat juices.
It kind of can. It kind of can if it barks up the right way, and all that. Yeah.
So my wife hates sauces of most kinds, but she loves ribs. So whenever we go out, and she's learned different places not to order them, but she's like, "Hey, can you do it without the sauce?" And this poor waitress one night, and we didn't know any better at the time, but in retrospect, she's, "Oh no, they come sauce and we can't take it off." And my wife's like, "I'll order something else." No, yeah, wherever we were, Kurt, it was a rub that turned into glaze-ish, but it looked like the sauce is baked in. And we didn't have anybody who did their own barbecue at the time, so we had no clue what she meant. And so we're like, okay, whatever. We thought it was weird, but in retrospect, oh girl, you didn't know what you were talking about at all. Vinegar is okay. I'm not this guy who's going to argue the best sauce, the best barbecue, blah, blah, blah. But I 100% agree with you. It should be good enough without it. However, I do like a little spicy, sweet sauce.
Sure.
I like it to be that dark, thick, brown to red color with a little heat to it is what I like. Now I'm going to throw this one at Kurt. Is Sonny's barbecue real barbecue?
What is Sonny's barbecue?
Yeah, I'm not.
Oh, you're okay. I knew I might be going out on a limb there. So it's a chain, but it might only be in the Southeast. Like Jim and Nick's is a chain, but it's Sonny's Real Pit Barbecue. It's a lot of people around here love to argue. It's not barbecue. Blah, blah, blah. So I don't care. It's cheap and it's good, and I love their sauces. I can eat. I mean, it's okay without the sauce, but it is not a chef level. Whatever.
So you're just like, call it whatever you want, but put it on my plate and let me eat it.
Kind of like Taco Bell, yeah. It's not real meat. I don't care. It meets the 33% standard of the government. Give me that rat toe.
You know what might be controversial is Buc-ee's does a damn fine brisket.
It's that's too saucy to me. It is too.
Buc-ee's.
You're not missing anything, buddy. You're really not. It's the Walmart of truck stops. So.
It's way better than Walmart.
It is not. It's Walmart of trucks. Wait, Kurt. Where did you go to Buc-ee's? Up north or down south?
In Florida.
That's the north and the south. Not to say all the Buc-ee's in Georgia are the Walmarts of trucks. Anyway, I've never been. You're not wrong. It impressed me more than say like a McRib or something. But I did feel like they put. Because it comes as
Why would you even mention a McRib in this conversation? That
is the lowest bar of barbecue, fake barbecue. I don't know. The McRib is the bottom bar. All right, can we agree on that? It's not barbecue. Okay.
The fact that there's some pork in it is the only thing that qualifies as barbecue.
It's pressed meat.
Yeah, 100%. Yes, it's got some pork in it.
Oh man.
Yeah. What, Joe? You don't want to weigh in?
No. I just it made when you brought up the McRib. You brought up the McRib, and it made me think of as a teenager. It made me think of a Papa NASCAR story.
All right,
we were trying to plan what we were going to eat on a camp out, and I said we should get some boneless ribs. Talking about well, as a teenager, I liked when we had the rib sandwich at school, which again was similar to the McRib. We're like, we should get boneless ribs. And me as a teenager, not understanding ribs literally are bone, my older brother and my dad were just sitting there making fun of me the whole time. They're like, you can't have boneless ribs. Ribs are bones.
Boneless chicken wings.
And I'm like, but I've had boneless rib sandwiches at school. What are you talking? Like it wasn't connecting to me, and so it's just,
and that's fair
ignorance.
And they still sell boneless ribs in the grocery store. It's
pork press, essentially pork press meat, right? More or less.
No. All it is it's cut up pork loin. That's all it is. It's cut up pork loin, because actually if you look at a rib and you extend the meat out past the rib bones, you get to the pork loin. It's just there. And so great, slice it up into thinner strips and you can call it boneless ribs. Whatever. Yeah, it's kind of silly. If you want boneless pork, that's fine. Whatever. Pork loin, the best, cheapest cut of the meat of the pork variety.
That's why I love boneless chicken wings, because nobody wants to sell adult chicken nuggets. That's all they are, really, right?
Well, adult
meat
chicken nuggets. Come on, our chicken strips.
Depends on where you go. You're not wrong. You're not.
And again, all of that is even silly, because chicken strips, if they're at all real, are just chicken breast that's been cut up into thinner pieces.
Yep.
Yeah.
We can do that pretty easily.
There's something off at Chick-fil-A, I'll say. Their strips do not taste like the rest of their chicken. There's some kind of weird aftertaste. I don't know if they have a brine for it or something. I cannot stand the strips at Chick-fil-A. I love everything else there. But
yeah. I don't know that I've ever had chicken strips at Chick-fil-A. I've had the nuggets.
Yeah, that's what I was just trying to think. I've had the nuggets and I've had the chicken sandwiches, but I don't think I've ever had the strips either.
We being my family, my wife is active enough on the Chick-fil-A app. It goes enough that they invite her to things now. And so she got chosen in this group of people that they were a test kitchen in Conyers to do a pretzel bun Chick-fil-A sandwich.
Okay.
And so she got it. It was so good. And they have yet to release it. And that was a year ago that they tested it out here. And it was and it's free too. She got to do it for free. So she brought it home and it was so good. They need to go with a pretzel bun. It was fantastic.
Wendy's recently did a pretzel bun on something, I think.
They did.
Well, recently being a relative term, like within the past year.
Yeah.
That kind of came up in popularity. And I guess it kind of faded fast. But
you know why? Not enough salt.
Probably.
I think because it does. A lot of those don't taste like pretzel at all. They just look brown.
Yeah, if you can't see the big crystals on it, is it really a pretzel?
Right.
Is that the quote for tonight? That would be the title.
Yep. Yeah, that's the title of the show. Is it really a pretzel?
Hey, I pushed that button, jerk.
Random kid, help us pull the quote of the night out tonight.
He gave us the quote of the night. Eat a bag of bananas.
Man.
If you know, you know.
What are you nerding out about?
Bananas.
I guess I am first on this one.
Nice.
They have slowed down. They being AMC has slowed down doing the screen unscenes, and we missed one. Oh man, the one I missed. I always miss the good ones. I catch there actually hasn't been a bad one. We walked out on an anime, but basically it's because it's like essentially in the middle of the series. We talked about it, Joe. Don't act like you're surprised. And you agreed with why I walked out. It's because I just didn't know anything about it. It's one of those watch the first 2 episodes or a movie or something, and it had been going on forever. I hadn't seen it. It wasn't
That's a
bad.
dumb thing to do for screen unseen. A continuation.
It kind of was. Yeah.
It kind of needs to be a first movie or a solo movie to be.
It was
to make sense.
Spy Family Wife or something like that. I remember we talked about it.
Oh, Spy X Family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should watch that series though. It's actually really good.
Yes. It's on my list.
Have you ever said that one's not really good?
No.
Pretty bad anime.
There's been some. Oh,
never
you're not talking to me. You're talking to him.
Talking to him.
I don't nerd out about bad anime.
We could argue. But the two that I'll take it back. We've missed 3. 2 of them were good. One of them were like, we're good with that. One of them was based on a true story about Irish Gaelic rap in the early 2000s to maybe mid 2000s. These 2 guys were trying to bring Gaelic back, and they did it. And so the whole thing is basically subtitled, right? Yeah, good. We're really more interested in that. And that makes sense for screen unseen. You're trying to get a bigger audience, trying to get people to talk about it. And it's more of a offbeat film versus Venom or something, but we just missed the screen unseen that was Your Monster, and that looked so good. If you haven't seen the trailers, go look it up. It's a rom-com with a real monster in it. The girl, her boyfriend leaves her, and she is just falling apart. I'm not sure how the monster shows up in her house, but he's like a Beauty and the Beast level monster, and it looks so funny, and it's got some crossover from sci-fi to rom-com stuff in it. And that was the last one, and we weren't able to make it, but we've been missing the movies. So I'm like, we can use it. I don't know why it didn't dawn on me. It's like, we could use our membership for more than just the screen unseens, which is cheaper crap anyway. I don't know how people go to the movies without memberships, dude. I went to see the Venom: The Last Dance on IMAX. $20 a ticket is what we saved.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, I loved it. It's the best of the three. Honestly, Tom Hardy wrote it with the director. I can't remember the director's name right now. I see your faces, Kurt. I love. Let me raise my right hand and swear on the Cthulhu book of I love Michael Bay. I love 90s action BS. So take it with a grain of salt. I enjoy the Venom films. The first one I enjoyed. The second one was a little cheesy. To me, it wasn't as good as it could have been because of Carnage, but it was okay. This one has a different tone. It's not trying to be super serious, but I am telling you, the goofiness in it lightened up the moments. There's literally a dance scene, but it was funny. It was fun. And
funny like Spider-Man 3 funny.
There's a dance scene there.
No, I don't even remember. I don't remember Spider-Man 3. I remember it because it was bad, but no, this one is a good tongue.
Please tell me that the symbiote partially comes off and does the tango with Tom Hardy.
Not quite. Not quite. But it's a goofy fun. It's just a fun moment. And it was, but I'm telling you, now we know how comic books work. And I'm not even going to tell you what happened. We know how comic books work, but it had some good tone to it. It felt like somebody actually put some effort in on this. I'm not saying it's great. You can go watch it like, wow, Charles, you're crazy. I enjoyed it first, and then secondly, I went, wow, this felt good as well.
So let me ask you this, because I didn't see it, and I'm not going to see it till it comes out on video.
Okay. And we know our buddy will never see it. Sin Raven.
You're
not our buddy. You're our friend. We're talking about Sin Raven.
I was like, I've seen the first two. Granted, I saw them way late, but
is Null in it?
Kind of.
Okay.
Kind of.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and the reason that's important, Joe, is because it speaks to the actual comic book history of Venom and the symbiote and all that. So
he absolutely.
I'm sorry, symbiote.
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 I thought the graphics worked. I thought the pacing worked. I thought the some of the silliness actually worked. And for the first time, Kurt, I know you say you won't watch it, it's fine, but for the first time, they finally, in my opinion, showed off how Venom is the strongest of the symbiotes and really brought that forward to a point.
Okay.
They were still, it felt like they really could have gone harder on it, but they couldn't, because then it's like, well, this is nothing like the first two if they gone hard. So as an end to the trilogy, as it stands, I liked it.
So what are the prospects of seeing Tom Hardy in future Spider-Man ones? Do you think so?
100%. What they did here, 100%.
MCU?
Yeah. No, I think, well, okay, that's a Sony Marvel thing, honestly.
Right.
It is very possible because they absolutely did a little crossover with the last Spider-Man, which Spider-Man actually still Sony. So it's kind of a blurred line between MCU and Sony a little bit with some of this stuff, but they totally they talked specifically about the multiverse. And one of the clips was he had, popped into the MCU at the end of one of the films, and then of course we saw a piece of him fall off and
at the end of the last Spider-Man.
Yep. So they kind of come back to that a little bit here. And they definitely talk about the multiverse. Will we ever see Venom in a Avengers level film? Probably not, because Sony's making too much money and they don't want to give away any of that money.
Yeah, not until Craven bombs.
Let's see. Craven honestly looks good. I saw a new preview for it. I think it looks good.
I haven't seen any previews for it, so
I heard rumors?
Supernatural John Wick.
Heard rumors that they were putting Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man into Venom.
No, there was no Spider-Man in this. Yeah.
So they didn't actually acknowledge Spider-Man in this movie?
Not blatantly. No.
In number 2, wasn't there graffiti of Spider-Man or something in number 2? Or am I misremembering?
That's why I said not blatantly. I don't remember. So if I saw it, it would have been like that. It'd been on the background on the TV, or I didn't notice any reference, and they did not blatantly mention a web slinger or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah. But they could, because Sony still owns the rights to Spider-Man.
Right.
So even in the Tom Holland universe, you can mention these things. Let me tell you why I'm excited about Craven, though, Kurt. You if anybody knows me, you know I like the big, strong guys.
Yeah.
And I've always loved.
There's a clippable quote.
Yep.
There it is. Idris, you got my number, baby. Anyway, we've never gotten a good Rhino. And I thought when they do Rhino well in the animations.
Now, wait a minute. We had Paul Giamatti.
I love Paul, but come on, girl, you can't even keep a straight face with that one.
No, that was terrible. It was horrible.
It was not good. And there was even a reference to that in one of the Spider-Man films recently. But I saw a brief flash, and I know it's him, but they are having an actual mutated character into the Rhino. And it's not going to be the same Rhino that was New York villains, but I saw that flash. I'm like, that looks like I'm going to get a good Rhino. Come on.
I can't remember. Is it Rocksteady or Bebop?
Rocksteady.
Stupid. All right, that's mine. So I enjoyed The Last Dance. It hit the right notes to me. And of course, it did some comic book cheats on things, but
after the show, I'm going to want to know what the stinger was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Joe will have to take his headphones off because I'll have to spoil the film a little bit too.
Yeah.
So who's next with Disney Infinite?
Joe.
Disney Infinite. It is not Disney Infinite.
Joe's just into infinity. No big deal. He just keeps pondering pi until he can't stand it anymore.
Yeah, that's right. That 3.14159, all that.
So that's how far he goes before he can't stand it. I got you. Pondering done.
No, Infinite is a movie that came out 3 years ago-ish that I finally got around to watching. It has Mark Wahlberg in it.
Oh, yes. Paramount. It didn't go to theaters, really, Kurt. Paramount Plus made it for their channel, right? It's where it's the previous life.
Maybe. I saw it on Prime, but yeah. Previous life.
Yeah, so originally made by Paramount. Yeah.
So the concept behind it is there's roughly 500 people in the world who can remember their previous lives. And for most of them, those memories start to come back around puberty. Not all of them, but most of them come back around puberty. However, there's 2 different camps presented with the infinites. They call themselves infinites. There's one camp that wants the cycle to end. And the way they've determined to do that is through this bomb that eradicates everything living on the world.
Okay.
Everything. Because if there's still life on the world, then they could be reborn. The other group, A, wants to stop that group, and B, they feel that their advantage in being able to remember their lives and build upon skills over lifetime to lifetime.
They're like super spies, kind of.
Well, kind of, but they also feel that they should use those gifts for the betterment of the world. And I thought it was a great concept. It's based off of a book. I haven't read the book, but I am curious to read the book because it was very obvious while watching it that there were chunks missing. Okay. It was, and so I looked it up. I'm like, this is based on a book, isn't it? Because there were different tidbits here and there that just felt off because it felt like we were missing context. And so I am curious to go read the book. I can't even remember what the book was called at this point. I'd have to look it up again. But I really enjoyed the concept of it. It had a lot of great action in it. And yeah, it was an enjoyable watch.
Can't they have a real death? Maybe I'm mixing it up with something else, but I thought there was something where somebody had a real death and like, oh crap.
Not quite. So one of the guys invented something that would temporarily prevent the rebirth cycle.
Okay.
But it wasn't a permanent thing, it was a temporary thing.
Gotcha.
Looks right up my alley. It definitely is, like, because I enjoyed movies kind of like I Am Number 4.
Yeah.
I've actually read those books. They're pretty good.
Is it
at least the main series?
Push?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But you know what I'm saying? That kind of thing.
Indie hero films, if you're a super Marvel, natural, whatever film.
Yeah. Well, and if they have a taste of time travel in them,
well, sign me up. Sign me up.
Yep.
Jumper was not a great film, but I enjoyed the crap out of it.
Me too.
Me
too.
I did. And actually, the author of Jumper has gone back and written the Irish guy, the Irish character from that.
Yeah.
He wrote a book about him, even though he wasn't actually in the original book.
Wow.
Because he liked the character that they made for the movie so much that he went and wrote a book about him.
Oh, what was that movie with was it Ryan Reynolds? Yeah.
The Adam Project.
The Adam Project. I love that movie.
Yeah.
That one was very good too.
It was great.
I was trying to think superhero, and I'm like, I guess time travel. A little both.
Yeah. So anything kind of like up that alley, I'm in, because it doesn't take much. And the only thing they haven't done yet is they haven't adapted my very favorite time travel story yet to a movie. Which is called The Man Who Folded Himself by David Gerald.
Sounds painful.
And it is this kid, he's like 18, 19 years old. He gets, as a gift from his uncle, a time belt. And the time belt allows him to travel in time. And through that, he finds that there are infinite universes. And he finds that through all of his time travel, he now finds that he can only relate to himself because nobody else can do this. So he finds alternate versions of himself and they end up having a meeting point. So they get together on a regular basis and in essence create a clubhouse for him.
For himself.
For himself. And it's really cool. And there's a twist at the end and whatever. But one of the things that is really interesting, if nothing else, is they find that they can't have a relationship because they only can relate to themselves. And then they discover female versions. Because infinite universes, they were born female at some point.
That happened in Sliders too, where they ran into a female version.
Yep. I loved that show.
Me too. And it really needs to come back. But it's really cool. And they go hard into really the thought process. If you are in this position, what happens? And you go through the Groundhog Day thing where, well, if you've got all the time in the world, you learn to play piano. And you learn to do this and you learn to do that because you got all the time in the world. So it was very, very interesting. But I love that book. I've read it a number of times. But they haven't made a movie.
For some reason, you made me think of a super, super cheesy film. But I actually enjoyed it. Clock Stoppers.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to go Clock Stoppers. Yes.
That was like
yeah.
Nickelodeon or whatever.
I think it was Nickelodeon.
Disney
But
or something. Yeah.
he gets a watch that can not quite stop time, but basically stop time.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But yeah.
Very cool.
So this next one feels like somebody went back and scraped a whole bunch of ones that I brought to the table over the years. 3D / Demon Slayer / Too Good to Go.
Okay. Yeah. So and these will be real quick. That's why I put 3 of them in.
Sure.
3D, I am still up to my eyeballs interested in 3D, and I've been printing out stuff like a madman. My latest project for my granddaughter's birthday
is
on
Are you gonna show
Saturday.
it?
Oh yeah, you know he is.
Is
that
it Pinocchio?
Nope.
No, Mario.
It's a me.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So this is simply the head. I'm printing out all the parts, and they all snap together. And it says Mario action figure. It's not going to be very actiony, but this is the size of the head.
That's a big.
It's going to be big. Yeah. So it's like 5 or 6 plates big, and so there's that.
Random Kid is not that segment. It is not that segment. Yeah.
Yeah. So so that's that. And so I'm printing out other like mini figurine type things, and for I'm gonna do the craft show circuit next year.
Oh, okay.
And see if I can create a little side hustle. And opening up my Etsy shop in time for Christmas.
Good, man.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. I'm completely hooked at this point. I may or may not have ordered 10 more spools of filament today. Elegoo was having a sale. They had a Black Friday sale. You buy 4 and you get 1 for free. So it ends up being $10 or $11 per spool. So there's that. I just found that on Netflix. Demon Slayer, the latest season.
Yeah, it's dead. Yep.
Yeah. So I just started watching it, but I have to be in the right frame of mind to just focus and watch it. So it's going. And then last Sunday, I did my very first Too Good to Go.
And what was it?
So, all right. So Whole Foods, which is one of the only places that do it around here, had $4.99 Too Good to Go for
is that like a medium backers?
It just said a bakery bag.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
And so pick it up between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock at night. And I picked it up and I didn't even look at what was in it. I just brought it to the car, brought it home. I was going to do the opening at home, and I did the opening at home. It was heavy.
Oh, all right.
And so
he started curling. Yeah. He just started curling.
He had to get ahead of those carbs before he got home.
And carbs there were. In the pack was 2 trays of 15 mini muffins, lemon poppy, and pumpkin. There was a single tray of 4 of the regular large blueberry muffins.
Okay.
And a 4-pack of whole wheat pitas.
Nice.
And adding it all up, because they left the stickers on, it was about $25 to $30 worth of food.
Nice. For $5.
It was $5.
And it would just have been thrown away.
Yeah. So well worth it. Well worth it. For you. At least now. And so I'm keeping my eyes open. I'm not going to do it all the time because I don't need those carbs. But those blueberry muffins were delicious.
And then since they led the charge as a big store to bring it in, you should start seeing over some time more and more locals jump into it. And that's when it gets real interesting.
Yeah.
So how does it actually work? Is it just an app that you get and then it says, hey, here's this deal, and you say, I'll take it.
Yeah, and it usually says 1 available or 1 more available or 5 available, and you got to jump on it. Or
and they will sell out.
Yeah.
So absolutely, Joe. And search is only within a small parameter. So if you want to drive further, you can take the pin and move it further and that kind of thing. Like I have to move mine more towards Atlanta sometimes just to get something different. But it started with 1 or 2 for us as well. It started with high-end local bakeries, like people who are doing this as a living as an individual, had their own shops. So it's gourmet is what I'm trying to say. And
artisan bread.
Yeah, and they
Or
were using
artesian,
it.
whatever you
well,
say.
more like cupcakes and stuff. But yeah, but they were using it to bring people into their store. Because you can pick it up midday, and that's kind of the telltale things. Like, oh, they're getting you. And I'm not opposed to that at all. When you're talking about a $25 set of cupcakes that my wife and daughter fell in love with, and we got it for $5 for it, you know, great advertisement. And some of it is when it is absolutely like Krispy Kreme in our area. We have a lot of those donut shops in our area. So it's like, hey, you pick it up, like he said, between 8 and 9 right before closing, and they just give you what's in the rack instead of throwing it out. So you're saving food waste. Good to Go does make donations to food banks and that kind of thing with what you're paying. And you're maybe discovering some new areas. And we found a ghost kitchen near us that has stuff we can never imagine. We didn't thought was possible. Like 2 or 3 different types of Indian and halal food, and then some Thai food. And then, of course, for the normies, they had like a juicy crab and a something like a Longhorn Steakhouse that they just order it and you walk in and it's as big as this studio and that's it. And they just bring the stuff to the window. But man, yeah, you can discover so many different things. I've only had one bad experience. I mean, we've had 1 or 2. I just didn't care for the food, but that's not a bad experience. That's just what could happen. But yeah, it's. I think in your area, the Chattanooga area, you probably have some pretty good options. And it is just, and you can actually favorite. You go to the store and you like it, you hit favorite, it'll remind you, hey, that store you liked has a deal on today. You want to go grab it.
Makes me think of when we were living in Idaho college, there was a thing called Bountiful Basket there.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of that one.
Where they buy a whole bunch of produce in bulk, and you go, like, everyone who buys a basket goes and separates all of the stuff into the separate baskets, and then you just take your portion home. And so you just separate it all entirely evenly. It takes you maybe half an hour or so, depending on how many people show up. And I can't remember how much it was, but you got basically double the worth of produce out of it than you would if you had bought everything separate. Granted, there was often some things that we were like, we have no idea what to do with this jicama that we got, or something like that. But it often became a learning experience too. Like, what can we do with this jicama that we just got? Right. Okay, so my wife put in there. It was at the time, and granted, this was over a decade ago, $15 for $50 of produce. It's
kind of like that without the work, and you get to pick and choose your restaurants type of deal. This types of food. I always wanted to try some different vegetarian, fake meats, right? The tofurkeys and whatever. Didn't like, so we got a veggie plate at one of these. Was a vegetarian plate that had wings and all this other stuff. The other stuff was decent. The mac and cheese was really good, but I didn't like the texture of the wings. But it's that trial. You didn't know what to do with jicama. You might get something you don't like, but it absolutely goes to a good cause. They're very responsive if you have a bad experience, which hopefully will be rare, if at all. And the worst case scenario is they're not in your area or you're very limited, like Kurt is. But it took us in Conyers, because we're in the suburbs of Atlanta, basically. It took about a month and a half. So Erin had heard about it on TikTok. It wasn't in her area, so she did the whole follow requesting. Then 1 or 2 people popped up. Then in about a month and a half, now we have a ton of options. And Circle K is one of their partners.
Circle K is what they have them up here as well, and so we get some Circle K offers. Just not any of the Circle Ks that are real near me.
And she got one bag finally from it, and I don't remember what was in, but it was disappointing. But they cancel. Ours cancels a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, so I just reserved one for a new place here in town. That's a mom and pop bakery. So called the Tex-Mex Bakery. No idea. I've never heard of them. So it was $5.99. So I'll report back next week. but I don't know what they have. I've never been.
And Joe, it's you get a code, so they don't charge your card till you get there. That tells you what it is. It acts like it goes through on the app, whatever. You show up at the time. It says show them this code. sometimes they verify it. Sometimes they just know, okay, this is a thing. Like Krispy Kreme's like, okay, sure, we'll give you a dozen. Well, they'll just and then once they confirm on the app that you've picked it up, then it charges your card. So if they cancel or you don't show up, there's nothing lost there.
Okay.
So, all right, it is time to roll some dice.
Roll that dice.
Well, all right.
Daddy, tell me a story.
All right, boys, sit back, listen
Buckle
to the
up.
tale. Civil Air Patrol. Has anybody ever heard of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you've told us stories about it.
I mean, are we talking the Civil Air Patrol or are we talking about the Civil Air Patrol?
I'm not sure what kind of stroke you just had there, Kurt.
I'm
He's
only
looking
reading
at
what was written.
What was written.
Remember,
Hey,
kids,
dude.
learn your spelling.
Why does Excel not have spell check? For the love of God. It's a Microsoft product. They're spell checking everything else, Kurt. Everything else. Heck, Microsoft Word has tiny little bits of formulas that you can do, but we don't have spell check. Come on. Do
Well, this
better,
isn't
Microsoft.
Excel. It's Sheets.
Technically. Kurt, shut it. You know, when I was a wee little lad, so I grew up loving planes.
We had Microsoft Works and we liked it.
We did, didn't we? We did. Oh my God. None of that Lotus 1, 2, 3 crap.
Right.
No. So I definitely grew up liking planes, and my dad loved that kind of stuff. And he'd take me to air shows and those kind of things. And I just moved to Athens, 16 years old. And I was 16 years old, and we went to there's this local little airport by our house in Athens, and they did an air show every spring. And we went out, and it's really cool and nifty, but I kept noticing these teenagers in uniforms, and finally, like, what are you guys doing, this and that? And then they're recruiting, Civil Air Patrol, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, search and rescue. No. That was part of this group, but I'm just kind of talking about in general of why sometimes you should never join things, or people shouldn't let you join things. But it's a search and rescue, and I thought, oh, that sounds so rad, man. I don't know. I thought it was gonna be like this hero, right? Getting called out in the middle of the night at 16, right? Getting called out in the middle of the night to go find the down plane. No, never happened. Did go to the group meeting where they're recruiting people, and at the time, Joe, I don't know how familiar you are with this, but Kurt, I just lost it. So where Weird Al made his debut, Dr. Demento's radio show. So I was listening to that a lot at that point in time in life.
Like you did,
right?
Yep.
Like you did, and I believe Joe has met him. I'm not sure, Kurt, if you've met Douglas, my longtime friend, the soulless ginger.
Douglas, the father of Little Red.
Oh,
yeah.
Little Red was there when I was there. So
yeah, then you met him. So, okay. So when I tell you what I thought the first time I saw him, you go, oh yeah, that's the guy. I saw him at your house. Okay. I was 16, he was 15, and he walks in with what I thought was his grandfather. It was his dad. Whole other story. It'd be like
the old parent. He had the old parent.
Yeah. And immediately wait, pause. Hugh says Libre Office Calc has spell check the calculator. their stupid sheet.
Hugh, nobody is going to use Open Office no matter what they call it.
Hugh is a Linux kind of guy all day. Anyway. So I saw Douglas, and Kurt. The first thing I heard was "pencil neck geek." I mean, that's I like
Blassie,
oh.
Freddie Blassie.
You're right, and he was a nerd, man.
Yeah.
We ended up becoming really good friends. As I do with everything, I become a leader, and we did the studies and the tests and all the fake crap they're supposed to get right with it. But it was this semi-organized group, right? It's supposed to be organized. And I bet you there's plenty of people listening to this going, oh my God, you're making a mockery of what we did. Yeah, but it wasn't me. It was the adults who were 24 and 26, college students at UGA who were supposed to be teaching us. So I got so many stories from it. And yes, I told one about being under the stairs. However, what I want to bring up for this story is, I jumped through all the stuff. I became like this because I am great at tests. And it was, you think you know me now, take me to 16 where I'm rage filled and have zero filter. And I still this size, just full of anger and rage and don't give a crap. It was not a great time for people. We became somehow, some way in that mix, we talked somebody into making that an Eagle Scout troop. So technically I've been a Boy Scout once in my life. I don't think any Boy Scout would ever claim what I did was anywhere near that, but we got the title.
I don't think anyone would have ever accused you of being a Boy Scout if you hadn't admitted it.
I don't have the tattoo like Hugh does. Hugh got branded. By bringing up to see what stories you guys have from what groups that you were in as a teenager, young adult. Church. My church had Royal Ambassadors, which was the Southern Baptist Boy Scouts. It was not great. Civil Air Patrol, where we went and learned. I learned some interesting things, but I also hurt a whole lot of people in the process. What about you, Joe? What kind of you today look like you could be a Boy Scout, but being that Papa NASCAR raised you, I don't think that happened.
My dad was my scoutmaster.
That's a scout pack I would join. Papa NASCAR. And he's like, oh, what? That's a snake bite. Just spit on it and walk it off, Joe. You'll be fine.
Yeah, no. Up until maybe 5-10 years ago, the LDS Church was all about Boy Scouts. Now we do our own thing, but we were huge into Boy Scouts, and so
yeah. Don't y'all go digging domes in the snow to camp in?
I did that as a teenager. That's not
like
necessarily a normal thing.
Yeah, we call those igloos, Charles.
No. That's not.
Sir. No.
I have told this story on here before, but we literally went to a place that had like 10 feet of snow, and it compacts over time and whatnot, and you dig a snow cave to sleep in.
Oh yeah, okay. So we did that for fun, like during the blizzard of '78.
What is wrong with you?
So the blizzard of '78, where it dumped like 4 feet of snow in our front yard. My brother and I would go and we would do tunnels all through the yard, all over the place. It's kind of a wonder we didn't die, but yeah, it's what you do.
Okay, y'all slept in snow tunnels. I robbed an Air Force base of stuff as a teenager. Statute of limitations is
down.
I'm
not sure there is a statute of limitations on that, but okay.
Yeah.
There was one time at Scout Camp when
just one time in Scout Camp.
Exactly.
It ain't good.
And I was wandering around with another of the scouts, and we went underneath the it wasn't a cafeteria, it was the mess hall. We were underneath the mess hall, and it
you were.
It had
what?
It had flooded at some point or whatever. They weren't using it. Like, it was open to the elements, like the door was off. And so we just poked our head in there to see what was in there. We were walking around, and as we were walking out, we look on the wall, and there is a spider the size of a plate. And we're like, no, thank you. No, thank you. So we left. We went to the Nature Lodge to look in the books there. And we looked it up, and it was a spider that doesn't even spin webs. It jumps onto small birds and eats them. and so, yeah, we were like, nope.
We need a bird right now.
Yeah, we didn't go back near that again. But yeah.
You stayed. You would have found me 5 miles up the road barefoot and walking and go, where's Charles? Because Charles is not staying there for any reason.
That was
Charles doesn't live here anymore.
That was the same year when we saw something black that looked like a vine on a tree, and then it started moving, and it was a snake that had wrapped itself around the tree and was climbing up the tree. I also found a black widow in my tent that year too, and killed it.
There's a snake in my boot.
This is like a week. This is like a week. Kurt, would you stay? Because what is wrong with you? Why would you stay
I couldn't drive.
You got a cell phone, Bubba. Go. Run, Forrest, run. How did you survive childhood, son?
There's no reason to do that. There's really no reason to do that.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I scout camp. All kinds of stuff.
Kurt.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody can top that nonsense.
Yeah, I probably can't. I was involved in Cub Scouts for a long time, but until it was time to become a Boy Scout, and then I went to one Boy Scout meeting, and the troop leader ran it like a military meeting, so we had to stand in rank and file, and no, I'm sorry, no, I'm out. So, but otherwise, a lot of my things later on were very much music based and whatnot. So I was a member of. Well, I did go to band camp. Yeah, that's where I met my wife. So
of course you did.
Yeah. So the thing that I did do was participated in Explorers, which is an offshoot of Boy Scouts, kind of. Well, it can be. So it can be, but they had an Explorer band as well. And so
really?
Up around here, they had not just the police explorers and the fire explorers and things like that, but they also had it in other areas. And so my wife and I both played in the Explorer band in high school, and it really was just a community band that gave us another opportunity to play.
Leave it to Kurt to ruin this one time at band camp. Oh, this one time at band camp, I met my wife. We lived happily ever after for 500 years. It's been a great joke until now. Thanks for killing the joke, Kurt.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And besides, we leveraged that joke with this one time at Scout camp.
But now that's one time at Scout camp, Joe didn't run away. But one time at band camp that everybody knows, now Kurt fell in love and lasted forever.
Pretty much. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. You ruined everything. So.
This one time at band camp, I went and met someone, and now we have the happiest time of our lives for the last 40 years. The end.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're all going home. Roll some of them squares.
Well, all right.
Let's see. We got here.
Let's get paid.
All right, everybody. Hey, I like this one too.
Donate to your daddy. Patreon.com/wise and nerdy.
Let's
sounds a little overblown.
Yeah, we hired a rookie. We hired a rookie. All right, everybody, go join us over at patreon.com/wise_and_nerdy and just hang out and have fun with us. Linktree is linktree/wise_and_nerdy. Let's go chill out for a This one time on a podcast, Kurt did old-timey fake radio ads coming out of his bits. He gave up real fast.
You're holding the head like that. I'm just waiting for you to start doing the Hamlet speech. or Hamlet. The
Horton. Can't say it.
Alas, Yorick, I knew him. Well,
it's me, Yorick.
it's me, Yorick. Yeah.
Don't spit it out, Joe. Don't spit it out. Oh, we only have 2 more segments to go. Odds are not in my favor.
That's right. All right, we're going for a 3 or 6. Nope. Let's try again. Oh wait, that was a 6. Just kidding.
Even I. That's a 6.
They're like Mojo Jojo. They're bad.
So is Mojo Devo.
Charles's favorite segment. All right. So Charles, what's the least spoken language in the world?
What?
Sign language.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to break. Everybody, you really have to watch the video. You need to make these the segments for TikTok and YouTube and whatnot, because he's just holding his face. His face the whole time is like laughing, like, what's the most spoken language? I'm not trying to make him sound dumb, but that's his face is like, I want to laugh, but I'm not. I want Charles to break. And I won that one.
Oh, yeah. Joe can never actually be the straight guy. Like it just he wouldn't be able to.
I'm pretty straight. My wife says so.
Waka waka. Yeah, but he couldn't deadpan sell anything. Like,
no,
you're just not that guy, and that's okay.
I never aspired to be a stand-up comedian. That's why I'm sitting down.
Waka waka. What's Fozzie Bear's favorite exercise? Waka waka.
Oh, come on.
Hey Charles, why is grass so dangerous?
Waka waka.
It's full of blades.
Ow.
Kelsey, how?
That's why it's so dangerous to go on a waka waka.
I have met.
Careful,
Kelsey.
You might step on a waka waka.
How, Kelsey? Just how? I don't. That's it.
He doesn't. Now we know he doesn't.
Bring them out, bring them out, bring them out, bring them out. It's hard to yell.
Okay, that's as long as we use it. But I love that thing from. It reminded me in Deadpool. It's awesome. And she says I sometimes ignore it. Yeah.
And sometimes she sends me a bunch of dad jokes and says you should use this on the show.
Stockholm syndrome. Look it up. How do I get into leadership? I believe both of you have had leadership positions in different avenues in life, and I would love to know.
Avoid it.
And I think you're being serious. And that's fair. But you have had. I don't mean being a father, which should be a leader, but we know it's not always the case. We've talked a lot about that. But in your careers or working with churches, whatever it might have been, how did you end up in leadership?
By being the oldest one there. As a teenager, that's what it boiled down to a lot of times.
It did on right early on. That is kind of one of the things.
Yeah, in Scouts, that's what it was. I was a leader.
You didn't age out, so you're in charge.
Basically, yeah. That's about how it happened. And getting anyone to actually listen to a teenage leader doesn't work.
No, I was born for the uprising, baby. I was a handful. I'm not going to talk about my teenager days. I've had a little good. The scotch worked out just fine. I'm just letting you know. So yeah, but okay. Is that your only leadership story? Because I thought you had some others from the church.
I mean, I've been a leader various times in the church, but all of the church positions are you're asked to do it, and it's temporary. Like you go
just didn't
into
say no, or
yeah, basically.
Do they ask everybody?
They ask everyone to do something, whether it's leadership or not. But
no. I mean, like everybody's going to get kind of a turn to be, I don't know, a deacon. I don't know.
Yeah, I've been a deacon, a teacher, a priest. I served the 2-year mission as an elder, so I've done a bunch of different things for the church. But yeah, my uncle for several years was a bishop in Pennsylvania. Currently, I am the building representative, which boils down to I order the clean.
He's the Walmart greeter.
No, I order the cleaning supplies, make sure that they're supplied, and so we have multiple congregations that meet in the same building, and we take turns on whose month it is to clean. And so I order all the supplies, and I basically assign people to clean on the weekends. So
Okay.
that's what my current position in the church is.
And you never team lead or anything in any of your jobs?
No. When I was a teenager working at Burger King, they were thinking about making me a manager, but then I moved away. But
they're still waiting for your response today, Joe. You never got back to them.
They're desperate for leadership.
But I get honestly, you're downplaying it. But when you say you have to make sure supplies are there and you have to make sure people are showing up to use those supplies, that takes more than just, I don't know, whatever you do it, Bob. Right? I mean, you get them to listen to you a little bit. I'm assuming they bring some problems to you. You have to solve a few little issues. How did you start tackling that?
A big part of it's just communication, to be completely honest. And so, like, for instance, when people are assigned the week preceding, I will start a group text with all of the people that have been assigned for the next week to clean. I'm like, hey, this is what you're expected to do. And what we've been doing lately is having them sign up instead of assigning. And so you signed up to clean this week. You need to let me know when you're done. Let me know if you have any issues. I've got a key to the building if you need a key. If none of the people, almost every time someone has a key to the building, because there's like 40 people that have keys to our building. And so, yeah,
that's not a very secure building.
No, well, I mean, there's different layers to the keys. So there's some like
onions. They get layers.
All of the keys will open up the outer doors, but then there's a bunch of inner doors that you have to have more specialized keys to access. But
I want for Christmas,
the building itself is not super secure.
Joe, all I want for Christmas is 2 Mormon keys.
Okay, I don't get it.
Just give me some keys to your church, man, so I can say, I'm a key holder for the Mormon.
Okay.
Have you not met me? I am not. This is not that much scotch. I know I am making sense here.
If you say so, but Kurt's looks like you're not making sense to him either.
Hugh, I know you get it, Hugh. I know you get. Hugh's known me forever. He knows I like the weirdest things.
Don't you do it.
Come on, Hugh.
Do you want a card that says honorary Mormons? You'd be like, I'm a card carrying member of the church.
Is that a thing?
I can print one.
Oh, no, man. I don't need a 3D printed fake card from Kurt. Okay. If you're going to make me honorary Mormon, I want it to be a thing. All right.
We can go baptize you one of these weekends.
I've been swimming. I'm good. Kurt, that wouldn't be honorary, Joe. That'd be real. That's not the same thing.
It was real to me.
I just want to be magic underwear adjacent. I don't want to wear it. Kurt, don't be a boomer, Kurt. Just roll with it. Leadership. I know you've held leader positions.
Yep.
How'd you get there?
Okay. So I actually read this a little different. So I'll roll with it, whatever.
Whatever you want.
Well, because you said, how do I get into leadership?
Okay.
Which is different. Sure.
Because
Because sometimes you become a leader because nobody else will do it. right?
Yep.
But I think that how do I get into leadership? How do I become a leader? I think starts honestly by this is going to be a little cyclical, so just go with me. It starts by being a leader. And what I mean by that is by showing leadership traits. Like, what would you like to see in a good leader? And part of it is the typical lead by example type thing, but also exhibit those qualities that is becoming of the better leaders. And that is things like encouragement and providing the proper tools and resources and an open line of communication with whoever you're dealing with. And this is the harder part because some people, particularly in the tech industry, aren't great at this. Showing and genuinely being empathetic. A lot of tech folks are not because they go, feelings, ugh, what do I need to fix? And okay, but I can tell you, I have had situations where somebody's had a technical problem. We go in, can't fix it, can't do anything, and they call us in a panic on a Friday, and on Monday they're in no different shape. But by Monday morning, they are thanking us profusely for our effort. And finally believe that we are on their side and trying to get things done. In any other situation, they would be ticked off because the thing is still a problem on Monday morning. And that has everything to do with empathy and communication. So, to be the best leader, in my opinion, it's not about you. It's about them, whoever them happen to be. If you care more about solving their problems than your own problems, then your problems will go away.
Okay.
So for me, anyway, again, I've gone through now decades of great leaders I've worked for and dealt with, and terrible leaders, like just really bad people.
Those are called bosses.
Yeah. That really is a differentiator.
Yeah,
it really is. And so in fact, in the company that I work for now, we are not managers, supervisors, or bosses. We are leaders. And one of the books that I've read recently is you think about things as a leader and follower mentality. And what we've been nurturing and where this book goes is we want to get rid of the leader-follower mentality, and we want the leader-leader mentality. So even people that work for you, you empower them to be leaders. So, and the difference is, hey, Charles, I really need you to get me the final Wise and Nerdy logo so I can...
Yeah, Charles.
So I can print us a really cool 3D sign. And versus, Charles, all I want you to do is come to me when that's finished. So you are empowered to just get it done in whatever way you need to get it done.
Set goals.
And come to me. But you can come to me and say, hey, I think we should do this. What do you think? If there's a decision on that. And my response would probably be, oh, I trust your decision. Do whatever you think is best. Because I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not even saying you need my approval. But if you come to me with a, hey, I think we should do it this way, and here's why, and a solution, and it's good, and again, I can tell you my opinion, but if you come to me with that, then that already shows initiative and nurtures trust. I can trust that you'll get it done. That kind of thing. So we deal with trying to nurture other leaders who passively end up becoming mentors to new guys.
That's
Right?
what you want. Right?
That's what you want. So I've come around in a long way to how I view leaders, very different than I used to. So that's all.
I was going to say it a little differently. And I'm glad you went on, because I think we definitely landed on the same page. Because when you said, well, it's not about you, it's about them, I was like, okay, I fully disagree. It's leadership is about me first. But then you were talking about what you meant. Like, oh yeah, no, we're on the same page.
Okay.
Is if I can help you, empower you to solve your problem. If there's no, okay, let me rephrase that because of certain things going on. If you take care of the issues inside the house, there's no issues outside that can get to you, right? You all on the same page. And so as leadership, as a leader developing leaders, I mean, how I got into it some of the similar ways you guys talked about, which was being the oldest, being the one. I'm very ADD impatient, and I mean, dude, I hit 6 foot tall at 14 years old. Everybody else around me was small. So I'm always this big, loud, goofy guy, because at 16 you're still kind of a klutz and don't know what life is and all of that stuff. So I just leaned hard into it. But leadership process pretty much is, hey, there's a problem, I'm going to bring a solution, right? There's trash, and we'll pick it up, that kind of thing. And that's how I ended up getting there. And the short version could be, I ran my mouth, and the second I was asked to back it up, I give it my best effort. I never just ran my mouth like, oh, I was just talking. It's like, no, okay, I'll take a shot. And sometimes I was made a fool of because I didn't know what I was talking about. And sometimes I nailed it. And, and there's everywhere in between. Random Kid says Charles leads with the verbal whip to a point. Earlier this year, I was actually challenged by one of my partners, and he said, dude, you are, I don't remember how he phrased. He's very good at phrasing things. He's a former salesman. And one of the only people in this world who claims to be a salesman that isn't a slime bag manipulator, bad person. And I don't remember how he said it, but the gist was, you suck at hard conversations. People are getting away with stuff because you don't want to hurt their feelings, basically. And because I just knew how I was beaten down verbally and emotionally and mentally growing up. And so I did overcompensate. But one of the things in my success early on, actually, I'm wearing my One EMS jersey tonight. Early on in my EMS career, one of the things that made me successful was just not giving a crap about people's feelings. It's just like, no, we're here to do a job. I'm not here to be your friend. I don't care. I wasn't their boss or leader or anything. I just didn't care. I was like, I'm here to do a job, period. And looking back on that, I was very successful. I got pushed more and more into leadership roles and I was hard to deal with. But then I went through a phase of my life where I learned more of I always had the empathy as a storyteller. Of course, I always had that connection with humans, but I had to deal with trauma. I had to deal with other things and work through it. But that earlier this year, that challenge came back up because he's right. Is instead of going, I need these results. Like you said, Kurt, I want to put a pin in that. Come back to what you said. That leader follower thing. It is symbiotic. It is very yin yang, right? It's you to be a great leader, you have to be an amazing follower. And if you're gonna be an amazing follower, you're really leading people, right? And by that is my problems in life with leadership came when I could outrun them and they weren't harnessing that and encouraging that, but instead trying to stifle, and you can't stifle a tornado. And that's what it was with rage and everything else. And so it would just break. And I finally found some good throughout my life, from school teachers or whatever, educators to different leaders and that kind of stuff. To even to this point of, okay, like you said, Kurt, it's like, I want results. We need to get here. We need to get to this marker. Show me what you can do. And I'm here to empower you. I'm here to guide you. I've got, in this case at my job, I've got 30 years of experience when most of my leaders have 10 at the most. And it was a paid attention to 30 years of this is why this happened. Oh, I learned that and I remembered it. This and this and this and this. And yeah, Random Kid says Kurt gets results, 160 pounds of it, 100%. Okay, I'd miss this. If Wise and Nerdy had a bingo card, the free space would be: is Charles wearing a jersey?
Right.
Because the answer is always yes. I am. For the shows and stuff. That's my public persona. Anyway, but yeah, Kurt, I'm glad both you tackled different aspects of it, of what you do in leadership, how you got there. But the thing that I had to learn was the results are what matter. There was a great motivational speech, and it's a mixture of 3 different speeches put together. Tony Robbins, one of them. I don't remember the other 2, but it's hard to find, I think, because they labeled it interestingly. And it's called Get Hard, and it's all this other stuff. And YouTube, it can be euphemism, and it wasn't in this case, but I think that algorithm, it's hard to, I forget to bookmark it, so it's hard to find sometimes, but it was this thing of, hey, my job is to put food on your table. So if I've got to do the hard thing, our friendship, it was more about friendships and those kind of things, like business partnerships, those kind of things. It's like, no, our friendship is after hours. Right now, we got to do the best for what's good for the company because we're in this together. It sounds similar to what I might not be saying it clearly, but it sounds similar to what you're doing now, Kurt. With what you're in.
The one place that I used to think completely like that. The one place that I think I've come to a different point on is the friendship end of things, and I struggled with that. I still struggle with that because I think there needs to be some separation. However, I think that it gets into a gray area when you genuinely want to care about the person. And if you genuinely care about the person, then you speak to them in a different way and you treat them differently than just a professional way. So to the example, random kid put in a comment here that says a rising tide lifts all boats. And if he had put a period on that, I would be, yes, absolutely. But then he said, but sometimes you have to throw some problems overboard. To which I say, that's utter nonsense. And the problem with that is my way is hard. It's really, really hard. And the reason it's hard is, like, for example, we had a couple of people at work who were not carrying their weight. And they, in fact, not only not carrying their weight, but were underperforming and causing harm.
Okay.
So we do not have a 3-strike rule. We opted early on that we're not going to do that. And so they had gone through 2, sometimes 3 managers of sorts, 3 people that they reported to, leaders, but 3 leaders that they reported to, right? Sure. And other people had, like, they were running out of ideas to help fix them.
Okay.
I, even though they weren't in my department, said, let them report to me. Let them report to me. And I sat them down and we came up with a plan. And I said, here's the one thing you need to understand. That if you don't succeed, I consider it a failure on my part. Because that means I didn't give you the right tools. I didn't communicate in a manner that you could understand properly. And I still, to this day,
okay,
now I have, like,
how did it work out?
So 2 of them are thriving successes in the company.
Cool.
2 of them quit.
And I think I get what Random Kid's saying, and I agree with him, and I also agree with you. And there's ways to do it, but I phrase it as not everybody can go to the promised land, right? There have definitely been some people. If you hold a standard, which you guys sound like you do,
we do,
and I imagine Random Kids is referencing something like that. You hold a standard, you're going in the same direction. If somebody doesn't want to meet the standard, You're on. Two made it, two didn't. You didn't run the two out of the company. They just. I love what you said. You said everybody else is running out of ideas, and that is the thing for me. Is just because I know you phrase it to be fun or to be whatever to get a rise out of us because we're tides and we got to lift boats. But sometimes you have to throw some problems overboard. There are some people that I do have to look at like, hey, you just don't fit with this culture. I mean, everything about it clashes, but they shouldn't have been hired in the first place. They still, I didn't hire them, but it's responsibility on me. When you said it is your responsibility to get the tools to get this, but once you've done, here's all the tools, and they won't use them. Well, I think the results you get are typical. They leave. Now, there are some companies that don't take that time. And there are certain situations like we have like 2 hard and fast rules in our company, and only one of them will get terminated on the spot, and that's because it'll kill people. That's the bottom line. It's like you cannot just do distracted driving. That's and it is like no. This is there's a extreme line, and that extreme line is distracted driving will kill people. You can't do that in our industry. So if you're caught on your phone, blah blah blah. But other than that, it's very much coach, box them in, reposition, work the strengths. And get results. And the bottom line is I've told one of my managers, they have a clock on them. And I phrase it this way, Kurt, see what you think. I said, because they know that coming back to my story about being challenged about having hard conversations, my partner was right. And I really had to go, okay, the hard conversations are the best ones, the most truthful ones to go, hey, this isn't working. Let's acknowledge that this isn't working. And as a person who runs the company, I need it to work. I'm trying every which way how it's going to help you, right? And give them the opportunity to step up.
Okay. You know, what's funny is like, I don't consider those hard conversations anymore. I think I used anymore. That's a great term. That's a great term. I think I used to, but now it's just an evolution of we try to get everybody to improve always in whatever way we can. Right. And so if they're underperforming, we just need to focus their improvement in a different area. And so I that whole thing, you had mentioned that the thing that gets you fired, right? There's one thing in our company that automatically gets you fired.
What's that?
One thing. If you lie.
Oh yeah, you did mention that. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter about what. It doesn't matter at all about what. If you lie, you're fired.
Yeah.
So you know, and so everything else though, like when I have those conversations, I'm like going, okay, here's what we can acknowledge. Our data is showing that you're just not putting in the hours, or you're not putting in your notes, or your time entries aren't being done in real time. Things like that. So what can I do to help that make that easier for you to follow?
I know I'm a little bit harder stick on that. This is my personality. I've owned it. That's why I say leadership is about me. If you own who you are, I do listen to other people. I let other people take leads, so on and so forth. But there's a time, I mean, I know it's joking, but there's definitely a time I lead with the verbal whip, and that's just brutal truth. It's like coming back to how I phrase it to my manager of like, we have been bleeding out of this base for 11 months now.
Yep.
And we've done okay. You've put in effort, but you're not listening to me. You're not. I've tried a bunch of ways. I've tried to focus you. I've oversimplified it. So I have to take my hands off. At this point, you know what you have to do. You're empowered. I'm here to give advice. I'm here to help you with anything I can help you with, but I'm not talking to you about it anymore. You've got till January 1st. I don't know what else to do. And other people, the owners are helping encourage and holding accountable. But to random kid's point, and then I want to hear Joe's take on some of this stuff. Everyone deserves a fair shake, but some people are simply unwilling to improve. I have found in my industry, and it sounds like Kurt and yours as well, I have found that if somebody in my industry, paramedics want money. And some of them really do believe, because that's how companies treat them, that they can do whatever they want and you'll pay them, and then they can just go somewhere else. In my industry, in my business, I go somewhere else. When you're very clear that Charles, and you argue the rules, I say this phrase: you're fighting the guidelines of what makes this company successful. I really wish I'll talk to you all day long about it, But if you don't choose to step up to our standards, I'll write you a recommendation and help you get a job somewhere else, because if you're going to fight, you're not going to fit, and it is not the right fit for you. But ultimately, those people work themselves out. I can count on one hand how many people I've fired in the last 4 years. And I mean, it's because the rest of them, if they're unwilling to improve, random kid, in my experience, and it seems like maybe in Kurt's, you just keep holding that standard and say, this is what we need to do. And they will find it, because they don't want you to talk to them all the time. They don't want to know that it's obvious you've been given the tools and it's just you, man. You're not doing it. So they will go somewhere where they can feel better about themselves, maybe fit better. I don't know. But Joe, as more of a professed employee in this situation than a leader, our tactics, our talk, or whatever. I know you went through a bad situation with a bad leader, but what is your take on this from what we're saying from your perspective? Blah, blah, blah. I had it until I tried to say perspective.
No, I like you said, I've seen that dichotomy of good leadership and bad leadership professionally. My previous leader, he really liked to micromanage, and it was very evident that all of his goals were just bullet points for a resume, that he was just planning on being there 5-6 years or whatever, build his resume and get out. And so he was providing us with tools, but they weren't the right tools. Like I've talked about how he decided that we needed a series of classes on a tool that we had one script that hadn't changed in over a decade that used that tool. But he decided all of us, regardless of whether we'd ever touched that tool, needed to do like 6 classes that were week-long classes about that tool. And again, it was a resume thing. I guarantee it, where he was like, I taught all of them this amount, or like, and he tried to even like talk to the director and get that class offered to like the entire area under her. And she's like, or I think at one point he even wanted to open it up to the company, and the director's like, yeah, no, we're not footing the bill to teach everyone this. That's not happening. And whereas now I've got a team lead. My manager, actually, now my current manager, he only talks to me every so often. He steps out of the way and knows that we can handle it. Like, he doesn't micromanage us at all. He's there if we have something to bring up to him. He'll listen and try to fix any problems that come up. Other than that, he just lets us work, which is awesome. And it also shows that he trusts the team leads that are under him. And my team lead is fantastic. He gets us the materials that we need. He's all about making sure that if we don't know something, hey, talk to this person, get in contact with them here, go read this material. And he's also willing to go and do some of the research himself if he doesn't know where to look for it. And he's very much willing to go out and look and say, and then come back and be like, this is what I learned. Here's links to where you can learn it too. And so he's very, very good.
All I know is you've been a great employee for the last like 8 years, but I've never got a world's greatest boss mug from you. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. Let's put it this way too. I phrased it to one of my managers today. It's like personal take, straight up personal take, oversimplification. But I feel like my job as a leader is to duplicate pieces of myself, make other leaders constantly, so that the biggest accomplishment is I'm gone and nobody knows I'm gone, because it just runs, right? And they're doing it in their flavor, in their way. And so to that end, I feel like it is my job to own all of the crap, take all of the hits, take responsibility for every bad thing that happens, and to give all the credit away. And in an oversimplified way, people are like, well, that's unbalanced, but it's not, because when I do that, people step up and say, no, I had part responsibility. I also made, sometimes they go, no, I literally made that decision. And I'm right there going, but like you said, Kurt, it is on me to make sure, lack of better words, that you do right, or you can do right.
Yep.
But then when you give all the glory away, say, one, they feel recognized, they feel seen, and they feel like a major part of the team, because typically when I do it and with the people I've picked, always they know that it was a team effort. Like they spearheaded it, but I made a way, and their partner made a way, and this made a way, and the owner made a way. But that reflects that gratitude, and gratitude is everything. Back up, like they were recognized, they were seen, they were celebrated, and they're grateful to be a part of what we're doing and shining it right back up. And in a nutshell, that's it.
Yeah. So Random Kid said another thing. Everyone deserves a fair shake, but some people are simply unwilling to improve. And I refuse to believe that. And so that might be a character flaw on my part, but my refusal to believe that drives me to dig more into the individual employees. So here's the thing: when we have employees that end up being on a performance improvement plan, the performance improvement plan doesn't have necessarily a time limit on it. It is really, how do we get you to be a productive employee, doing the right processes in a way that will serve you. And so honestly, like one of my big questions I ask of all my employees is, what do you want?
Aligning goals is an effective tool.
Well, but no, here's the thing. See, that's the thing. When I ask that, a lot of times the employee will say, well, what do you mean? And I'll say, okay, so if tomorrow you came into work and you were working at your dream job, what would that look like? And I also usually have to say the caveat, and it doesn't need to be what we do here.
Yeah, you've talked about that a little bit.
And remarkably, people either have a good idea, or I have this kid who is working for me right now. I think he's 22. And he goes, I'm 22. I don't know what I want to do. And I went, oh my God, thank you.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Because a lot of people that age, and I really don't mean to offend anybody who might be in that age and listening. I really don't. But a lot of people that age think they do know what they want.
Oh, absolutely. What I wanted at 22. And it's not what I do now.
Well, but that's the thing. What they don't know is that they don't know.
Yeah. You think you know, but
you think you know. You think you know because you're invulnerable at that age. And I get it. Like I was there, and I thought I knew everything too. Not everything, but I thought I knew exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
And that changes. We have I talk to people who were saying, well, I don't want to do this because I don't want that to be my career. And my answer to that is always, what makes you think that's going to be your only career? Like, people change careers all the time now. Like, it happens. And Random, yes, to quote the Spice Girls, tell me what you want, what you really, really want. Because it matters. And
zig.
Let's say, So let's say Joe is working for me as an IT guy, and his main area in IT is automation. But Joe says, if I had my druthers and I could do anything that I want to do and work anywhere, Joe says, I would love to do 3D animation. But I know in this job, we don't have any need for that. Right?
Sure.
I might say, Well, what if we can find a way to at least help you a little bit along the way? So, what if you were to become a 3D animator? What would you need to know that you don't know now?
It's rather ironic you say that, because that basically happened at my internship. Like exactly what you just.
Really?
I had to come up with a senior project for college, and it had to be something I've never done before. So I picked 3D modeling, and I approached my boss at my internship and said, "Is there any way I can do that here?" And then get paid for my senior project.
Right.
And I created a program that would 3D model their products, and you could mix and match and stuff. And they had it on their website for a little while, and I guarantee it's not there anymore. But they were kind enough to let me do my senior project at work and get paid for it.
Right. But that really does speak to, if you care about the employees and you care about their progress and their goals, then frankly, they will provide you with loyalty, hard work, and appreciation. And it's kind of simplified, but that's just what it is.
And sometimes they'll do a podcast with you for a long time. That's the show today, everybody. I employ both of these boys, and they don't even recognize it, and that's okay. Love you both, boys. I'll give you some more goals next week.
You're getting paid?
Oh,
Friends, nerdy dads on social media. Charles at Rock God of Podcasting. Joe at Joseph_Ard. Check out the website, wiseandnerdy.com. And as always, they may not be your father, but they'll always be your daddy.
And feel my Kurt everywhere. Shut up, Mike, and happy birthday.
Yeah, I did. He's on my Facebook page right now. Happy birthday, Mike. He doesn't listen. Nobody but all right, what's your show? Yeah.